So let's kick off episode 174 of the 29ers Unscripted. Today we're having a little look back over the 17 years, some questions I've got for you and lessons learned, and maybe how you bring that into the future in the next stage of 29 Studios. So what would you say is the biggest mistake that still stands out today? Your biggest mistake in business over the last, it's been more than 17 years. Obviously 29 Studios has been 17 years. But over your whole business career or being an entrepreneur, what's been your biggest mistake that still stands out today?
The biggest mistake for me, and it will probably always be the biggest mistake, was when we brought partners into the company. It was our first business. We brought partners into the company who didn't understand the technology, didn't understand the business. They came from completely different sectors, and that was our recipe for complete disaster, and it didn't last beyond 4 years.
Yeah, and I think we focused at that point on bringing money into the business.
It was the money rather than the skill.
You're starting up in business, you think bringing money into the business is the key, but the real key for me was getting the right people around you and making sure that they fit and they align for what you want to achieve in your business. And that was our mistake, and it just never worked. So it's always that memory that we go back to and go, never take on people or money for the sake of it. It has to be the right fit.
Yeah, 100%.
The other question I had is burnout and overworking. 29 Studios is 17 years, but we first started our business in 1998. So do you remember times we just thought, I'm burnt out, I'm overworking? How does that resonate with you?
I think, and this is genuinely honest, I don't have a stop button.
Yeah.
I just keep going. And I don't see the signs of burnout. You do. You see them in me, and you physically stop me. I just keep going. I love what I do. I love my job. I love the business. I love the things I do as an entrepreneur. So it's very difficult to know, right, I need to stop. I really struggle to stop, and that's when burnout happens. And I do get to a point and I am exhausted. I can literally close my eyes standing up and I'll fall asleep.
Yeah, I think you overwork, which then leads to burnout. And it's maybe not as harsh as burnout, but it's just then what I probably try and do to you at the time when I see it, is change your environment. Yeah. And I think that's what we've talked about over the last few years, is like when you're feeling stuck or you're feeling whether it's burnout or overworked, just change your environment. We're lucky to have an office in the city centre. Even simple things like just go out a walk. It just changes that mindset and takes you and escapes you from that burnout and that overworking. I think that's important. But
I also think, you're right, but I also think that because we don't generally work in 9 to 5 hours, we don't generally work regular office hours, laptop could be open at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night. But again, I could be at the gym at, not the gym, don't use that gym word. I could be at Pilates. At 9:30 on a Friday morning. Yeah. So I've got balance, but I just keep going. Yeah. So for me, the work-life balance is, I've got work-life balance. I just love it.
Yeah. What lesson did only experience then teach us? Like, you look back and think you just can't learn that until you've got the experience.
What lesson? What would you say to that?
I'd probably say that I think it's important. Like, I had a phrase like, says you become your circle. And I think when you're starting up, and experience then tells you, surround yourself with the right people. I think for me that's really important. I think if you've got the right people around you, it brings confidence, it brings energy. And if you have the wrong people around you, that's who you become. And I think that's what we learned a lot when we went to America and we were around ambitious people and go do it attitude. And I think for me that's really important, that experience has taught us that, is like, try and always find the right people to be around, whether that's team or whether that's just people you network with and go meet. I think it's like, have the right circle of people around you.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one. And I think for me, I honestly think that having a bit more patience. When I first started in business, probably the first 10 years, I was just really impatient, wanted it now. And that would be across everything. And sometimes you need time to pass. You need time to let a relationship develop. You need time to let the other party consider the opportunity that you're putting in front of them. I used to get really impatient, and then I'd chase up, and it maybe came across quite salesy and quite aggressive. That wasn't me trying to just be salesy and aggressive, just because I was so passionate about the subject and excited about it. But I've learned that, especially working with corporate customers, you need time to pass, and you need time to just let that opportunity develop. And now that I have adopted that, I'm probably more mature now, so I can give that a little bit of patience, and it actually comes faster.
Yeah, but I think also to be the opposite of that in a creation of content point of view, I think we've talked about this, like speed is
that's the opposite.
Speed is the competitive advantage right now, and for us, that's the way we're going forward with creating content or the systems within our company. It's about developing them at speed. But as you say, having the patience once you've delivered something or created an idea or delivered an idea for a customer, is having the patience to let it develop. But I think for us, like we said, speed is that competitive advantage in the day-to-day business. So if you were starting today, what would you do differently? It's 2026. If you were starting today, we started in 1998. We've had 17 years of this business.
Processes. 100%. And any entrepreneur, young, fledgling, new start company that's starting their business, that's watching this, get the processes in place. Everything should be processed, because when you've got processes and SOPs, standard operating processes, it gives you the ability to grow upon that. When you have got no processes, and in the early days, you don't, because in the early days of starting a business, you're literally
but
just...
But do you think process just comes from understanding what you want to achieve?
Yeah, and experience, yeah.
So you probably just need to, because what I was thinking about was more a personal thing, like believe, if we were starting again now, I'd probably say just try your best to believe in yourself more. I think it's, when we started, it was like, probably didn't believe in ourselves as much, and we were scared to fail. I think because the environment, love Scotland, but I think the environment that we first started in, working with Scottish businesses as well, it was like that fear of failure was the concern and the worry. Don't fail, don't let anyone see you fail. Then when we transferred to America a little bit and done more business in America, it was almost like a badge of honour to fail. It was like, so how many times have you failed? Because it shows that you're trying and you keep coming back, and it shows that... And
you're clocking up experience. When you have a failure or failed business behind you, you'll learn from that, because it scars deeply. And that scar stays with you. You never ever lose that.
I think that's, as I said, I'm proud to be Scottish, but I think we have that mentality of, don't reveal the failure, don't talk about it, always act as if everything's amazing, everything's brilliant. Anytime you ask someone in business, how's it going? Oh, it's great, going great. No one wants to talk about what's went wrong.
And the challenge is business is hard.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's hard. And you have to always be on your guard. You've always got to be looking for the opportunities. You've always got to make sure that you're covering all the scenarios that get put in front of you as a business owner.
Yeah, so I think processes come out of that. I think.
Yeah, I do, but I'll still stand by it. If we'd put processes in way sooner, and I'm talking like 10, 20 years ago sooner, I think we would have scaled faster.
Yeah, so a combination, I think from my thread is more just, and maybe that's just me, because like played football. When you're playing football, you have to win. And so I'm probably just connecting those little dots. Like, it was just that competitiveness in me from 5 years old all the way through to now. Is like, whatever I did, I wanted to be the best at it, and I wanted to win. So maybe that drew out the kind of fear of failure. So from a business point of view, I think it's good to fail, because it means you're trying things. And if you fail 100 times, you're probably going to succeed 10, 20 of them. So the more you attempt things, the more you're actually going to push forward.
But there's also that saying that you never actually fail. Every time you fall down, if you get yourself back up and start again, that's not failure, that's just learning.
Yeah. But I mean, like, we probably, our country, we class it as failure. And that was my initial point, is like, when we've worked in America a lot over the last 15, 20 years, it is that badge of honour. It's like, well, you have to fail to become good at anything or the best at something. You have to fail. So going back to my football, you have to lose games to understand what it feels like to win. And I think I've just carried that kind of like probably fear into business. So probably that's the advice I try and give myself. Don't be scared to fail, and see it as a form of success. So talking about success, what do we think success was going to feel like? Back in the day, what do you think success was going to feel like?
It's a really difficult one, because as the years change and as you become more mature in your business, success means something different. Even when you think when we first started, remember that wee whiteboard that we had on the wall, and we had £400 per week is what we needed to achieve. We both quit our jobs. We started in our back bedroom, and we thought, right, how are we going to get £400 a week? And once we got past that first year and then took our premises, made our first employee, that was a huge success. Whereas now, success is very, very different. You measure success in a different way. I also remember being maybe about 35, 40 in our first 10 years of business. And I was at an event where Richard Emmanuel was talking. And Richard Emmanuel at the time was talking about how his burning desire was to be a millionaire. And the focus to get to 1 million is what drove him. But then as soon as he got to that, he then said, everyone else has got 10 million. I want to get to 10 million. And when he got to 10 million, he said, everyone else has got 100 million. And he get to 100 million. It was just a different number. But it was the exact same focus. Yeah. So the success aspect wasn't actually the money. It was the journey. And then when he got to that, he wanted to be a billionaire. And that's the inherent DNA of entrepreneurs, to always want to be way up above and beyond where your capabilities are.
So do you think when you start up a business, you're focused on the money side of the business rather
than
so
at the start,
the experience? Because you just used a word there that I was going to talk about as it is that journey. I know it's cliche, but it is the journey. If you're really loving what you do and you've started for the right reasons, you just continue the journey.
Yeah, but if there's no money in there, it then becomes a social enterprise if it's not about the money.
I know that. I don't mean there's no money focus, but like you said at the start there, it was like you want to become, you want to have £1 million business, then you want to have a 10 million business. So that's like, yeah, you need to have the targets, and the targets in business is always monetary. But
that's what a business is. It's about making profit.
I think to enjoy those, my point is to enjoy that process, to enjoy the journey, and to feel it every day, to experience that every day. You're going to come back because there's going to be so many lows that you have to love what you do. Because if you don't, you give up. And that's why the statistics are quite high for people that give up in the first 3 to 5 years. So the people that do give up in the 3 to 5 years, it's because of money. But if you push through because you love what you do and you're passionate, you talked about that earlier, like we're passionate about what we do. We express that every day when we talk to our customers, because the customers say that to us. You make us feel something, but what we're making them feel is the passion that we have for our business. So our success for me is that journey. Yes, tied to very much like achievements in monetary scale, but the point being then once you achieve it, you just keep going. And
yeah, I mean, also there is also other barometers of success, is achieving something that has never been done before, and innovating things, and working in markets and sectors. We're a small Scottish company in the grand scheme of things. We're a boutique agency. We work with billion-dollar businesses. Yeah. Not just one. We've got like 5, 6 key accounts that we've got multiple divisions in each of those companies that we work with internationally. That is a huge success for a Scottish company to be able to have done that.
And it's not luck, it's ambition. We talked about that. It's the ambition to achieve that. So I think our DNA has been intertwined by working in America, and I think we bring that energy and passion and can-do and the fear of failure we've talked about from the American side of our clients and the circle that we evolve around. So I think when we come back to here, our Glasgow base, where we kind of push that through our businesses. Like, it's about being successful, it's about being on the journey, it's about having the passion for what you do across everyone in the team. It's like they need to have the passion because they represent 29 Studios when they're talking to every customer, and that it does come through. So I think that's what, for me, success is measured on. Yes, financial, but equally is that financial will come if you have the passion for it and you feel that you're just enjoying that journey, because like everything, every single day you need to enjoy that moment because it's special and it's unique, and especially when we get to do it as a group. So,
but even when you think of, there's a saying by George Merck, and it's in the headquarters in Rahway, and the few times that we've been over to Rahway, when we stand in reception going through security, and I'll look at that picture and I'll paraphrase it because I won't get the words exactly right, but what he said was, if you focus on the people, the profits will follow.
Yeah.
And they're one of the largest companies in the pharmaceutical market in the world. And his goal when he started that company wasn't about money, it was about people.
Well, that's
the profit
kind of my point. If you're doing it for the right reasons, it will follow.
Yeah.
So how did entrepreneurship change your mindset? We got into being in business in 1998. How's that mentality? Because it's a different mentality being an entrepreneur. How's it changed your mindset?
I don't think it's changed my mindset. What it's done is it's made me realise, and I learned this from a very early age and very early time in my career. I can't work for someone else. I can't follow other people's rules. I have to make my own rules. I was very fortunate to spend my first 7 years in an entrepreneurial business. It was a stockbroking firm in Glasgow. Started as a junior, spent my time learning business from a family business. And also my parents, growing up, as you know, had a family business, but I was so young, I was only 8 or 9, so I didn't learn any business skills.
But you probably got the sentiment.
I learned it from my mum, who was always on. She was always on duty. Whether she was on her calculator, because she didn't have a computer, calculator or typewriter, she was always working.
Was that a big giant calculator?
It was ginormous with loads of buttons. I loved it. I still remember it. It had big orange dials and it had a wee tally roll, and you'd be like doing money, payrolls and all the stuff that an entrepreneur does. But for me, when we started our business, I felt I'd landed in the right spot. When we started in business, when we first met, I knew me and you would start a business because it was something that I knew I was always going to do. Just didn't know in what. But with your creative skills and my business skills, because I'd worked in the stockbroking for 7 years, you'd worked in an international labelling company. Together, we thought, let's do it. So that entrepreneurial mindset, for me, I don't think some people say you can learn it and you can go to entrepreneur school and you can go to uni and you can go and learn all about what it means to have an entrepreneurial mindset. But there's something in that DNA. Absolutely, and I've got that. I was born with that.
Yeah, and I think then probably the combination, because as you said, your family were entrepreneurs. My family worked hard every day, worked for companies, but worked hard and had a super work ethic. But I think then the combination of you being from an entrepreneurial background and me, as I talked about, coming from a competitive background in football and sport.
That's a great match.
I think it was that will to win. I just had that complete desire to win and, as I said, be the best at everything I did. So the combination of you bringing that entrepreneurship to me and then me probably bringing like the will to win, the desire to win, and that combination, I think, was a perfect mix.
Sport was never something that I grew up with. Sport wasn't my thing, but it was your thing. And bringing that together with my passions and ambitions, I think we have got a really good complement.
For me, it was like playing to the full-time whistle. When sometimes you give up, you start things and then you kind of drift and you get kind of distracted easily. Whereas I'm
brilliant at starting. You're great at finishing.
Yeah, so I need to finish it, and I need to finish it with a win.
And I'm brilliant at starting. So that's a great combination.
Probably as we're talking out loud here, it's like that's the combination of why we're still doing what we do, why we've had a form of success because of that combination.
It's not a form of success; it's a huge success.
It is a huge success. What's the emotional highs and lows? What stands out?
The emotional highs and lows. For me, I've only got one, and it was when I had the car accident 10 years ago, now 11 years ago now, and the impact that had on me personally, and the impact and the fear that it put on me to the business. We were a family business. I was head of sales. All revenue came in through me. And at that point in time, I couldn't function. I couldn't focus. I couldn't step out on the pavement and see a car or truck or a vehicle that made me go, ugh. And that took a good few years. I think it was about 3 or 4 years where that really scarred me. That impacted our business. I would be out in the car, 30,000 miles a year, driving here, driving there. Couldn't do it. Even now in 2026, I am pushing myself to get in that car and drive. It even makes me, you can hear it in my voice, it makes me feel emotional when I think about that car accident. But it was the impact that it had on our business at that time. And as a family business, it wasn't just that I could say, I'm going to just take some time out and go and recover. I couldn't. I had to keep going. And I had a payroll, I had a team, I had clients, I had customers. I had to ride through that. That was really painful, really difficult. But I got through it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that obviously was, for us, the biggest kind of low. From a business point of view, I think I've just grown up. We talked about the money side of business, and I think that's when you have lows in business, it tends to be around finance.
Yeah.
It tends to be around trying to get payroll, trying to achieve those
and
goals.
that's what happened after the accident.
And
we hit a dark period,
Yeah.
very short period in our whole career, but it was a dark period.
Yeah, but no one probably understood what we were going through, and where it came out for everyone else was just finance in the business and decisions then we had to make in the business. So every little thing can have an effect, and I think that just brings that fear for me of, like, again, talking about success and measuring it with finance. It's been probably an inner goal for me is to have that financial freedom in our business, that we can then make the decisions without the fear of the finance.
And how you do that is having an amazing support network around you, having the right bank, having the right customers, having the right payment terms, having the right people in the company that can help you manage the company in a truly authentic and professional way.
And to achieve that is, again, being passionate about what you do.
Yeah,
that comes through to our customers, how you make them feel. And that's the kind of essence of where we're going with our business, is making our customers feel something.
Yeah. But that's what we've now got, and I'm probably going to steer into a different topic, but the market, the transition and the change, the disruption, what's going on in our creative industry is a completely different podcast. And I'm getting excited talking about it, so I'll calm down.
Sacrifices and rewards, like, was it worth the trade?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of...
loads of trade-offs.
Obviously, as husband and wife, we'll touch on that. We've got Caitlin, our daughter, in the business. And then obviously Lynn, from the last 26 years, feels like family, but best friend, family, almost. What's been those emotional highs and lows?
And the trade-offs. I mean, you talked about trade-offs and the sacrifices that you make. I now prioritise family. Family and business is my top priority, that I give time. Whenever I've got a spare moment, a spare night or a spare afternoon, it's spending time with my family and my business. Where I've sacrificed forever over my business career is personal friendships. And I've got a very small circle of amazing friends that I see very infrequently.
And understand
And they understand it, they get it, they completely get it. And it's like, I could maybe pass 6 months and think, shit, I've not spoke to so-and-so. And then I'll send a wee text message and go, sorry, I'm not seeing you, well, can we catch up? But it's not that I don't care, it's just that I have got so little spare time that when I have got spare time, even like this last 4 months, both mum and dad took not well, dad now in a care home, mum recovering, that needed so much concentrated time that I had to give up work time to be there for my parents. And that is the one thing that personally I don't give myself any slack from a sacrificing of personal friendships and hobbies and time out and just crap time. But I do now, and also with my daughter Caitlin and her husband James, our son-in-law, his mum Anne is also now one of my really good friends, and I really make an effort to spend time with Anne. And Anne and I really get on, and it's so unusual that Caitlin and James have both got their two mothers who actually like each other and go partying and drinking and going to the shows and dinners. That is a real privilege, and I really enjoy that.
Good. How's our family dynamic then evolved through this? How do you think our family dynamic, obviously initially it's me, you and Caitlin, how is that?
I think our family dynamic has just got stronger and stronger, and we've actually created a little entrepreneur in herself. Caitlin was born with the entrepreneurial DNA. She's unemployable. I honestly don't think Caitlin could work with someone else. She's got so much ideas, innovation, passion, that she constantly just comes up with new ideas like that really, really quickly. And I think that Caitlin has learned that by being around us, and she is fearless. And you talked about, fear of failing, and in our early days when it was just me and you and it was our first time together doing this business, Caitlin has never had that. I don't think Caitlin's had that fear of failing. I think Caitlin's desire to succeed is way stronger than her fear of failing. That was a Stephen Hendry comment many years ago.
Yeah, and I think she's got that mix between us both, as far as that kind of dynamic spirit that you've got, and then there's a little bit of, like, I am a bit more caution, but still kind of push myself out there. But you're just that little bit of like what if? Like, I always think of what if. And I think
because she said actually, now that you're saying that, but that what if, that bit of cautious that you've got.
Well, she says, she worries. She always says, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? That was from a TV show, and we used that analogy. But I think when she said she worries, I think she just thinks
really surprised me.
No, but I think it's not as strong as that. I think we need to ask her. I think it's more, what if? I think like that, and I think that's a good skill or a good thing to have, because you're always thinking of, like, where's the angles? You know, and from the simplest thing,
like when analysis, we do it, what could go wrong? Like
when we do a presentation, like, well, what if they come in at the wrong time and I have to then switch? And so you're always thinking, attention to detail. It's the attention to detail, it's the perfectionism that I strive for. Again, being sport related, it's about being perfect. Whereas you've got that free will spirit, and I think that's where Caitlin has that blend. But how the family, I think, dynamic has evolved for me is, I think we've got closer. Like, we met in 1987, and I think, and then we started the first business 10 years later.
That's nearly 40 years, Kev.
But I think that's really helped our relationship, because we've always got new things to talk about. We experience things together. We're just back from the US last week, so we get to experience everything together. We get to share those, as I said, highs and lows. But I think that's helped us evolve as a family. And then obviously Caitlin was part of that as well, like that journey. So we get all those little moments, we get the highs, we get the lows. So I think that's really, in a positive way, as you started with, it's made us stronger. But I think it's all those little things. And because although we work together every day, we don't work in the same area of the business. So we've always got new interests, new things to talk about. There's always a spark within the conversations that we have. And it's
we've
easy
got opposite strengths and opposite weaknesses. So we've actually got a really good combination. And then Caitlin sits in the middle. But so does Lynn. Lynn's got a very different style. And Lynn's also got her own life outside of the 29ers and outside of us. But what Lynn brings to that is a real balance. We've got a brilliant balance between the four of us. Trust is the foundation of our business.
Moving on, what are you most proud of then?
Most proud of?
The obvious one. Caitlin.
You caught me out on this one before. I wasn't, because we've just talked about Caitlin. Obviously, I am most proud of Caitlin. She has been the one creation, being our mother, but also to watch her develop as a young entrepreneur into the role that she's in. I need to interrupt, because
when you say she's the best creation, I always think when we're annoying each other in business and Caitlin's telling you off or something or whatever, you always turn around and go, I taught you how to use a spoon. You always say that. And I think it always just brings it back to, like, the reality of, like, when we're talking business, you instantly then just snap it back to, like, I taught you how to use a spoon.
But it's the younger generation. They've got zero patience when it comes to, if I can't get something to work. I'm really technically savvy, but sometimes I just can't get something to work, and I'll ask Caitlin, can you? And she'll go,
well,
she loses patience.
For me, obviously, like, joking aside, I think it has to be Caitlin, but it also is you. And I think you and Caitlin and Lynn, and it's probably because it's just happened as well. We just came back from America, and we were away, the four of us, and it was the first time I realised, like, I don't ever remember just the four of us going away on a business trip. There's always been
other projects. Sorry.
There's always been other elements that we've had to bring in, but for this trip we were going over to meet a couple of our clients, and it just needed the four of us, and it gave us some time out to think about business and our personal lives and how we've all kind of, like, intertwined, the four of us. So I think,
and we had our business summit while we were there.
So I think, you know, the obvious one is Caitlin, but I think I'm most proud of the four of us and how we've pulled this business together, created the success of this business, and it is grounded in trust, 100% trust, and it is grounded in family. So I think that's probably my most proud moment, is just the four of us and how we have got through all those emotional highs and lows, and how we've never doubted each other. And then when you take that second layer away and you think, and the three of us are family, and how that impacts our family life in a really positive way, I think that's what I'm most proud of. What does success mean now versus 17 years ago? So we talk about 17 years being in 29 studios, and that's 29 studios being our biggest success. We obviously have had businesses before that, but I would represent 29 studios as being our biggest success and still going forward and still growing. But if you were to if you were to go back 17 years, what does success mean now? Maybe to 17 years ago. You touched on it earlier, saying success 17 years ago was getting £400 a week.
No, that was when we started the business, not 17 years ago.
Yeah, but that was like a measure of success.
It was money then. Money was the success.
So what does
measure.
Success mean now versus 17 years ago?
I think happiness. And I know that sounds like a total cliche that you think, I always want to be happy. But to actually be happy in your day, yes, you need the money. That's without you can't run a business without having money. Money is about making money, and it's about making profits. But there is a lot of really successful, financially liquid businesses that are really unhappy and don't have a life. Whereas I feel really happy. I feel really content in my life, and I've also got a business that's financially stable, but I also feel that I'm on a journey of personal development and learning, and I give myself the luxury to be able to say, right, what do I need to learn? How do I need to go deep on this? For instance, during the pandemic, I wanted to learn blockchain, cryptocurrency. I wanted to learn it. I needed to understand it, and I gave myself the time to say, right, I'm going to go and sign up to Oxford Uni. I'm going to go and sign up to the blockchain strategy. I'm going to go learn it. So I then control my own destiny. And that's what gives me happiness. I control what I want to do. And Steve Jobs said, if you wake up too many mornings dreading it, hating it, we'll change it. And if you don't change it, your own fault. Yeah. And I love getting up in the morning and thinking, right, what am I going to do now?
I think mine would probably be similar, but I think it's because we've been successful over the last few years that allows us a bit more time. But what's allowed me a lot more time in the last few years is building the right team around me. That takes me away from the day-to-day work tasks and allows me to be more in a vision mode, to think about what's coming next for a business and try and plan a few months ahead. Yep. Maybe a couple of years ago they say I have to try and plan 2 or 3 years ahead, but right now it's a constant development. So I think similar to you, these last few years have allowed me to really focus on, and I know that's another podcast, but to focus on AI. You talked about blockchain and how you wanted to deep dive into that. So for the last 3 years or so, I've been really focused on AI and how it's going to impact our business. So that's what, for me, success looks like now, is I'm allowing myself the time to future-proof our business, as opposed to 17 years ago, it was just about how do we survive in business.
We were working in it rather than on it.
So I think we're past the how do we survive to how do we future-proof and grow and stabilise the technology side of our business, which is my passion. And as I say, that's probably for another podcast. So the last question, would you do it all again?
Absolutely. I don't have any regrets at all.
I can't think of, I honestly, apart from sport, I couldn't think of any other thing I would do. So 100%, yeah.
And even the question of the big R word, the retirement word, that comes to everybody. Everybody at some point have to retire. And for me, I actually dread that. I'm 57 and I dread the day when I don't have a business to run.
But I think we always will. I think that's the benefit again of loving what you do and being in control of your own destiny. There isn't a number. It's not hit 60, hit 65. Yeah. We just feel as if we're starting again.
Well, I suppose when Mary was over, when Mary had her event, Mary Mickle, and our dad was here, Bruce was here, and Bruce is 82, 83. He's still in the business.
Yeah. So I think we'll still be involved, but as I said a minute ago, it's like we want to be, for the benefit of our business and the benefit of our team, for our team to grow and develop into new roles within the business. It's important for us to step back, but step up. So although it's a step back from the day-to-day work flow, it's stepping up. And that's what we did last week with the 4 of us. We all stepped up. We went to 2 of the biggest meetings we've been to and absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
And it's because of what we've learned over the last few months and the technology side and the creative side and how we could deliver. And then obviously we talked to her about Caitlin and how proud we were of her and how she can deliver those type of presentations. But that all allows us, me and you, and then obviously it's working on how we get Lynn and Caitlin into this side of the business more, so it's more thinking more about the business rather than the doing part of the business.
Yes, but also if you think of for the benefit of the company, not for the benefit of us. When you start a business, it's just two young entrepreneurs hustling it and making a business happen. We're now a solid, mature business. It's not about me and you. This is about the brand of 29 and how does 29 as a management team, 29 as a company, 29 as a service provider, a product developer, how does 29 grow, mature and continue without me and you?
Yeah.
And that's been the thing that is
I wouldn't say
finish.
Without.
Yes, no, without us. What I mean by that is every single day the business depends on specific individuals to be able to function. And at the point when the founders are not needed to function in the business, that's when you've actually made a business. Otherwise, you've just created yourself a job.
Yeah, no, but
but let me finish. Otherwise, you've just created a job. And if we get to a point that the business can function without my input, without your input, then we've created a solid business.
Right. So I agree with that, and that's kind of was my point, that I'm not working in the day-to-day business, but it's important that you still have someone or a group of people who can foresee what's the next stage of the business. So that was my main point that you misinterpreted. So it's not about us working in the business, it's about empowering the team, energising the team to make those decisions, those day-to-day decisions, but it's about us still maintaining a level of where are we going as a business? Where does the business need to evolve? And that's what you're interrupting me now. This is our family dynamic, and why we love it. So that really is the kind of set of questions I wanted to kind of pose. Hopefully people can hear that, listen to it, and especially young entrepreneurs, because I think it's I genuinely think this is the most exciting time to start a business and be involved in the right type of business who has the mindset that we have. And we're always recruiting, always looking for new people to join a company. Yeah. But there's such an opportunity with technology now. And I think that's what we're quite unique. Again, the two of us, we're so invested and so interested for our age in technology and in the future of technology and how it's going to evolve our business. And we're at the bleeding edge of that, the bleeding edge of AI and all technology. So I'm really excited about the next 17 years. And I will do it all again, and I'll do it all again, and we'll do it all again, and we'll keep turning up and doing it all again because we genuinely love what we do.
And the way you've just described that, we just got to keep turning up, just got to show up, and you've got to be present, and you've got to be committed, and that's what we do.
Thanks for committing to episode 174 of the 29ers Unscripted podcast.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cut.